So, hi.
So part 2 of our fireside chat.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to talk about the very popular newish thing like vibe coding.
Yep.
I have my opinions, but what's yours? What have you seen recently?
I wouldn't like to be a coder these days. I think that, the days of somebody selecting their career to be a coder rapidly diminishing. The accuracy of AI encoding has dramatically increased over the last 12 months to challenge the quality of the best human coders.
Yeah, so you witnessed that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we've been chatting about this for about a half a year. About you can just pull in some open source libraries, unknown sources, and the language models just go and search the best solution for you, like dependencies. You can use free libraries like scanning PDFs if you have an app, and millions of other things. But you always told me that, hey Bence, be careful with what you are building into your apps, right?
Yes, absolutely. Open source libraries have revolutionized coding, but the bad guys know this. And there's plenty of cases where they've inserted malware into code that's available in these libraries. Before you blindly build the code into your app to have it scanned, do a review, make sure there isn't any malware built into the code.
So it's just not like you go to GitHub and search for a plugin or dependency for yourself. You need to scan before with a...
You need to make sure that, there's been no malware inserted. There's been many cases, especially over the last 12-18 months, where open source code has been infected with malware.
Yeah, and I heard about that there are some, what was the term, the security term, like masked. It looks like a known open source
absolutely.
provider, but the name is a little bit different or very similar, and they pretend that you are downloading the
exactly.
library.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. Yeah, they're getting, as we in the cybersecurity profession get better at detecting them, their access capability and methods are evolving to try and continue to evade detection.
And let's say that if you start out, you don't need, of course, you can be a senior developer just starting out with these language model-based coding, or you can be just complete non-technical. What would you do to be secure and safe at a company, or in a small business you want an app for yourself, or personally, or for the company?
But so I guess it's where, it depends on where you're going to host it. So first of all, if you're using one of the AI-powered coding apps, or even one of the known models such as ChatGPT, you're starting the development from scratch. So you're putting your requirements in to the AI, and it's developing the code. So there, the risk of it being infected is minimal. It's once you then upload that code to an open source library where the problems can start.
Yeah, or you just tell to ChatGPT, or in Cursor, or whichever VS Code plugin you use, like RuCode or Klein, that, hey, I want to use this and this library because I like it.
In that case, if you're asking the AI to access the code, it then comes back to having to have the code reviewed for malware.
This review can be done by tools or by security people?
Yeah, depending on how big your app is. Obviously, a physical review could take days. So yes, you need to automate the process.
Yeah.
And you could ask for the apps to search for malware.
Yeah.
Plus doing a scan with one of the EDR detection and response endpoint or extended detection and response
Running
software.
on your
Yeah,
laptop.
yeah.
Yeah, so there are multiple ways.
There's multiple ways, yeah.
Yeah, you could even do adding, that's the local running scan. Basically, you can set up a cybersecurity agent that scans your in and out code transfer
Yeah,
endpoints and then flags and notifies you if there is a suspicious stuff going on.
yeah. As I say, using one of the endpoint or network, so therefore extended detection and response.
That's the Sophos you recommended me.
Yeah, Sophos is one option. There's many others out there, such as CrowdStrike, Sentinel.
Yeah, that worked really cool for me because I built an app. I think it was Cursor at that time, and it pulled in open source library, some additional stuff from an open source already made code snippets, and Sophos flagged for me.
Great.
Hey, this is suspicious because all these CrowdStrike, Sophos, and so on, they match with the latest threat.
Oh, absolutely.
Benchmarks
They're being updated hourly to keep us protected.
That's really good because you can sleep much better knowing that somebody is looking at your code.
Yes.
From the security perspective. Of course, we said last time that there is no 100% guarantee.
No.
But you can reduce that.
But at least if you're doing something to keep your app secure. So as I was saying, if you're scanning your code to detect any malware downloaded from the public libraries, you're never going to be 100% secure. I think, as I said last time, we'll never guarantee whatever it is we're looking at is 100% secure. We can't do that.
Yeah. Even if you have 50 or 100% team looking at your code, even it's not.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. And again, the way that vibe coding has developed over the last 12 months, also the automated processes for malware detection have equally developed over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So I would say that they're more likely to detect malware than a human
Brilliant.
reviewing the code.
So it's another valid backlash to say that I don't use AI for coding because I need the security of the manual review. But it's not true then.
No. So you may get the malware or suspected malware highlighted and then do the human review to say as the final decision point, but automated processes are definitely the way to go.
The way to go, yeah. And if it's not even that expensive, I can imagine, to create a secure app. So it's not an enormous additional cost compared to the...
To scan the code? No.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And what else we wanted to speak about? Because this makes it's a peace of mind. Everybody was yelling about this insecure vibe coding, but if you do the basic stuff, you can...
If you're doing the basic stuff, as you say. As I said last time, what we're trying to do is to make everything as secure as possible, to make it more difficult for the threat actors to make things insecure through hacking. We're just trying to make it that bit more difficult for them to achieve their objectives.
Yeah.
So that they go elsewhere.
Totally. And there are, of course, after you vibe coded your app and it's running locally, you need to deploy. Then comes again security questions. You need to.
Yeah. So as I was saying at the start, it depends where you want to host it, and selection of a host is all a big decision.
So.
And look for advice on who are currently the secure hosters.
Yeah, because people are carried away. They enjoy this new phenomenon I can build my app quite easily. If you are experienced professional, then you can 10x your output. But then comes the everybody's homework, the deployment, the cloud provider. You need to do your due diligence the same way.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not fun, so it's not as fun as the building the app, but you must do it.
Yes, yeah. And obviously, if you're developing a commercial app, which you're going to go on and sell to your customers,
So, yeah.
you need to have a secure platform that's hosting it.
Yeah.
And look at the reputable big tech hosters.
Yeah. Like a little bit of reading and researching, like you use Cloudflare for the backend, Superbase, Neon, and there are other major providers.
Yeah, AWS, etc.
Yeah, so you can.
That's their business, and obviously they want to keep things secure as well.
Yeah, you reminded me that at the AWS summit last week, I was talking to one of the providers, and they said they can't guarantee the 100% security and data leak and so on, but they pay me as a customer if there is something happening, because we can sign terms and conditions.
Yeah. See what you mean. Yes, yeah.
So he said, of course, we are very hard to hack us, but if it happens, you can be sure that you will be compensated, and it's a brilliant deal, I guess. I pay a monthly fee for them.
Yeah, again, it also comes down to what I always say, that once you've been hacked, it's not only the cost of getting back into business, it is also the cost of lost customers, lost reputation. Yes, their compensation will probably cover your costs of recovery, but not the costs of future lost business.
Yeah, definitely, but at least something.
Yeah, they're putting their own reputation on the line.
So yeah, he said that we work hard to make it totally secure, so you're not left alone. If there are some providers, it's up to you whether you switch on the firewall, whether you use the proxy.
Personally, if you've got to make a decision to switch on the firewall and other basic security controls, you need to look for another provider.
That's a good point, yeah. So it should be secure as default.
Yeah. Yes. Almost speechless, but if a provider says or implies security is optional, you need to look elsewhere.
Yeah, and people can be looking for the smaller cloud providers and the big one like Azure, AWS.
Yeah, or AWS.
Netlify. It's very easy to use.
Are obviously looking to protect their business, so they have massive security teams in place. But equally, the smaller ones can also take security very seriously.
Yeah.
It comes back to, as you were saying earlier, doing the due diligence, which I admit is not exciting. So get somebody who knows what they're doing to do the due deal for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and all these providers like Netlify or Vestel, they've got a community, so it's their interest to keep their reputation. So they are working for your security.
Absolutely.
We can just encourage people to build apps.
Yeah.
If they don't want to do the security, then come to us.
Indeed. And it's also important, obviously, build security into the app if you're making it as a commercial service product. So you need to build in how people access the app, and make sure, these days I'd say, make sure that you're building in passkeys, 2FA.
This is the 2FA for the people who not in this field, is when you have an additional code after you log in on your phone.
Yeah, two-factor or multi-factor authorization, so that you get an additional key to access
just a
the app.
A few numbers to type in. Easy.
Yeah. And as I say, if it's a commercial offering, you need to keep looking at the code, having the code constantly reviewed, or, as I say, automatically, but looking for vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Because if we don't find them first, we know who will, and then you pay the price.
Yeah, and use the login systems by well-known providers like Superbase or Clark, or if you want to have a third party, so you have a secure front door to your
Yes. Yeah.
What else? Yeah, of course, it's obvious for everybody that the apps should be locked down with these login windows.
Yep. Yep.
Everybody knows them. What else? Would you build in when you have a production level commercial app?
So yeah, as I was saying, so you're looking at your access credentials, two-factor, multi-factor authorization. You're looking at having the code constantly reviewed as the app develops, and so it becomes ever more functional. You've got to keep looking at the code to make sure that new vulnerabilities aren't introduced. Make sure that your code is protected, the app is protected by the service who's hosting it.
Yeah. Like tips like logging out everybody after a day or so.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Then checking the suspicious logins.
Indeed.
If you want to be advanced, of course not.
Indeed. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you've got thousands of customers, as I spoke before, you would also be having a security operations center, SOC, and security incident and event management service.
So you can subscribe to these services.
Constantly looking at the alerts that are coming in, and
it's the monthly subscription, and then this.
Yes.
service.
Yeah.
So it's running in the background. You pay a fee.
Yeah.
And you can be.
Yes.
Okay with
Yes.
this.
You as the person who's offering the
Yeah.
app as a service. Yes.
So when you go on holiday, you can get these familiar notifications that, hey, somebody is logging into your account.
Yeah, they saw that Bryan was logging in from London and, I don't know, Cape Town on the same day at the same time.
Yeah.
They would see, that would be flagged up as an alert.
Yeah. So this should be like a default. So if you have one user logging in the same time, the same credentials, just ask them. Because it can happen that you are helping out a family member. It happens a lot. So you want to look at their dashboard or their notifications. Again,
yes, if it's a small app, not commercially available, that you're helping out a family member, yes. But once it gets to a commercial offering, these sort of things should be flagged immediately. You shouldn't be sharing access credentials, because it won't just be you and your son. It will be you, your son, and another who's up to nefarious activity.
Yeah. I know, Bryan, that this is sharing credentials for you. It's some sensitive topic, but that happens a lot.
No, I recognise that. But as I say, but once you get to it being a commercial offering, you can't do this.
You can even add a feature that, okay, do you want to help somebody out? Then we can give you this tool, or we can teach your users.
There's other ways of
screen share,
of doing it. Screen sharing, remote access.
Absolutely, yeah.
As in support mode.
Yeah, but it's non-tech people. It's the easiest way. Can you send me your password then?
But that's as soon as you start. As I say, as soon as you start sharing access credentials, passwords,
leak out.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, definitely. If you have a big user base, better to completely ban it.
Absolutely imperative that, especially admin level credentials, are not shared.
Which happens at many companies, that admin
absolutely.
passwords are being shared.
Yes. And many of the hacks that are happening at the moment are because the hackers have managed to obtain sufficient details of admins at various companies to phone the help desk, reset the admin's access credentials, and gain access to many companies and cause havoc.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because you are very careful with your hosting provider. Your code is scanned 24/7, but the social engineering is still there.
Absolutely.
As an option to.
Absolutely. I said this in our last chat as well. Tech is only one part of cybersecurity. There is no silver bullet, and you need to make sure that your users, your customer base, your admins, DevOps, etc., are all fully aware of the cybersecurity threats out there, and their responsibility in managing them.
Yeah.
If you look at some well-known hacks that are developing at the moment, where hackers have been in these organisations for weeks, because you can't. The opening phase of recovering from a hack is the containment phase, where you find out where the hackers are in your organisation and how far they've got.
Yeah.
And if they've got in using valid access credentials, either because those access credentials have been leaked, or because they've been clever enough to gain sufficient personal details about your administrator staff that they can phone up the help desk and reset an admin's access credentials, they've then got wide-ranging access to your organisation.
And you can't monitor this because they are using some valid.
Absolutely.
So
They are in your organisation as
invisible.
Bryan with valid access credentials.
Yeah, I got a question for this help desk, that you can say that you can set up rules, like basic rules in an organisation, that we are not resetting passwords on the phone. And that's it, end of story, right? So you can set up these rules to avoid social engineering.
Whatever rules you set up, I don't think it will, it will stop social engineering. If the hacker is contacting the help desk by whatever route with a valid user's details, it is nigh on impossible to actually validate that they are not the person. So to say that, so you're a hacker.
Yeah.
You've managed to gain. It's a nigh on certainty that my username will be my company email address.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Which is nigh on publicly available.
Yes, easily. Yeah.
Your security questions, we're so imaginative, are likely to be
First name,
mother's maiden name, which is sourceable on social media, or favourite sports team, again probably available on social media. So you're the hacker. You've looked at my social media, you've got my mother's maiden name, and as a backup, you've got my favourite sports team.
That's easy to get.
Yeah. It's going to be easy to gain my employer's help desk external phone number.
And it's not realistic to get these reset personally only, because remote teams are all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, we can give you a new password unless you come into the office face to face, and we need to see you first.
That's right. So identity validation is becoming more and more difficult, and it's almost down to having to prove it by visual identification.
Face.
Is this person on the video the same person on their HR record?
Well, it's doable.
It's doable. I have seen a comment in the media, somebody saying that help desks should have another password, that a key word that the user says to the help desk when you phone up. But do we really want to be giving our users another thing to have to remember, have to log somewhere?
Yeah, You have staff coming and going every 3 months, maybe, and this could cause a mess and mayhem. Yeah. So
it is almost coming down to they have to a visual identification.
bank.
Yeah.
Verification with the phone. So you need to show that you are 3D.
Yes.
So you have a real. So it's not a projected face. It's a real head. You have to turn your head.
Yes. And that still comes down to, so there's even been hacks where companies have been recruiting and the hackers have applied for a valid vacancy and then been employed as a valid employee, but then they've gained access to the organisations and they can still create havoc.
Yeah, it happened, but it can happen in really large organisations, but not
indeed.
SME.
It's a hot topic in the cybersecurity industry at the moment. Is how are we going to make sure? How are we going to validate people's identities going forward? Because it is getting more and more difficult.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question.
Yes, and it comes back to the point that cybersecurity is not all about technology. It's about culture, it's about process, it's about people's awareness.
And how about, like, just top of my head, doing the same way as in healthcare, that you have these home tests that you just, this prick top of the finger, then the device measures your DNA.
Do you really want to be giving away your DNA details to an employer?
No, not really, but something else.
No, I think that's also going to
fingerprint to the employer.
That's also giving such details to an employer is also breaching privacy law.
So it's a kind of because if it's too deep in your privacy, that helps identification, but then it causes a backlash from employees.
Yeah, indeed. I can't think of any case where an employer has the right to request somebody's DNA.
Yeah.
Most companies do not keep their systems secure enough. And once your DNA details has been breached, where do you go then?
Yeah, then it's a common. You can buy these DNA details on the black market.
I mean, there's the Cisco 2025 report. I've forgotten the actual title. Cybersecurity report, anyway, has come out this week, and it shows that only 4% of companies can be benchmarked as having mature cybersecurity.
Very low number.
Extremely low number.
Yeah.
Frighteningly, only 70% are either in the beginning or formative stages of developing their cybersecurity.
Absolutely mind-blowing. And how about the voice?
18 months, 2 years ago, I would have said, yeah, that would be secure. Not in the world of deepfake. It's so easy to deepfake somebody's voice now.
Right.
So my voice is my password is no longer secure.
It's a very interesting topic, and even the security of the face ID is going away slowly.
I think that's probably going away more slowly than voice, and I think there's other ways that we can validate facial recognition.
So if you take all these, what we mentioned in your commercial app, then you did much more than the average or the majority of providers.
Yeah.
And you didn't even spend too much. You
No.
just did your homework.
You've done your homework. I would be hesitant about saying you've ticked the box. Cybersecurity is never a box-ticking exercise.
No.
It's constantly evolving. You need to be constantly looking at your risks, looking at the threats that are coming along.
Yeah, exactly. This sentence should be message to all the companies.
Yes.
When they train people that, okay, we had this cybersecurity course or upskilling program, but it's not ended there.
No,
There are always
absolutely
new
not.
threats, new ideas.
Yeah.
So
Indeed. As I say, the hackers are always looking for new ways to get in. And just a couple of the things we've talked about today about obtaining enough details that are publicly available about the admins and then phoning up the help desk and resetting the passwords and even applying for valid vacancies and becoming a valid employee are some of the most recent ways that hackers are
and they can be
getting into companies.
Yeah, and even a provider or a third party cleaning, maintenance. They're
Yes.
just running around in the office.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Again, they can, if they know what they're doing, which if that's their objective, they will do. They will be papers left on a desk. They'll be able to gain enough information.
Sticky notes with passwords.
Indeed, sticky notes with passwords or boards with the admin password written on.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Nice. And posting on social media sometimes. Bryan from Riverside Court Consulting and myself from Bence.
Indeed.
AI developer.
Yep. Thank you once again for this opportunity. Sounds like The Apprentice, doesn't it?
Anyway, we continue next time with an exciting other topic, and
Yes.
we're gonna find out.